Hi, this is Tim. I will be providing battle commentary over the Shattered World LARP Game 9, Saturday Leyline, as recorded by Jet Black Velius, aka Lionel, playing the part in this game of Yosef of the Bay Region Coast Guard. I will be recording this commentary live and mildly editing it, mostly to remove any mistakes or any bad words that I happen to say, because this is a family show. So I'll be starting the video now. In this particular fight, we have Rebirth and Creation fighting Protection and Balance. Rebirth and Creation have formed up outside the Protection and Balance's lines, mostly based around the Springvolt, Lionel's siege weapon. We're missing quite a few people, unfortunately. I'm immediately to the right of Lionel's Springvolt. And you can see a few Bay Region Coast Guard moving back and forth, and you can hear Lionel now yelling at me, because he knows his siege weapon a lot better than I, and I'm trying to tell him what to do. So, I'm not sure why Protection and Balance aren't moving forward. They're possibly wary of the siege weapon. If they really wanted to crush us, if they just run through now, they probably would have cleaned us up. We're waiting quite a few people, and we're in a bit of a disarray. But Kindignord and Malachite are forming up with a shield wall, along with a few tiebreakers to try and help protect the Springvolt, as Nara and Revelers are to the right, and we're stepping it forward. There is a hard flank going down now. I think that is possibly Raiders moving to counterflank one of our deep flankers. If they'd pulled more of us off to fight that, then this would have been an absolute loss immediately. Thankfully, we have a few people calling battle commands, and that doesn't get too many people off to the side. We're inching forward now, trying to get the Springvolt in range, and you can see our lines look really, really sparse. We're pretty spread out as well, whereas our enemies are Protection and Balance. Oh, and there goes the first shot from Nebuchadnezzar, my favourite siege weapon in the game. Sorry, Springvolt. We're pretty spread out, whereas Protection and Balance have grouped up well together. We're just stalling at this point, and Lionel's just announced that he's going to be firing his weapon point blank. That is currently now a crime in Shattered World. It wasn't at the time, but it was hot-fixed fairly soon. Now, again, creeping the Springvolt forward, hoping the line moves with us, and we're just stalling for time, pretty much. And now, it starts. There's a lot of yelling happening now. Springvolt is not loaded, I believe, but it's set and ready to fire. Springvolt is also an excellent place to hang equipment. I know Lionel keeps his energy balls there, and a few other weapons when they're not in use. I'm going to be making use of that as well. So, very slow advance, but you can see that the gap that's being left in the lines of Protection and Balance, another siege shot goes overhead, line being left open, and here comes the charge. We have the Knights of Sin going forward immediately, leading with the Scions to the right, and Lionel getting in, swinging. Line versus line. Most people not doing much of importance. It's a big line fight. It's going to be lining. Lionel's getting ready to fire the Springvolt, aka his siege weapon, in case you weren't aware of that. And people have cleared that path pretty clearly. As you can see, the nice little corridor down there. Lionel's taking a few shots over it. And now comes some value. You can see a tower shield standing directly in front of the siege weapon, which is not a good place to be. And down goes Greg with his giant tower shield. There's a call to rush them, but I don't think we have the numbers there. And now Lionel's going to start getting in there and doing some work. And you can see this, by the way, is how I feel line fight should go. You're trying to win, you're not standing there. Scions, who we fought quite a lot over the course of the day, are holding up front line with some Parthians, Gallantry Quest. Springvolt is becoming a hazard, so Lionel's moving it back. Mitch gets him a good hit over it. And here, we're already starting to crumple in parts of the line. A couple of Kindignord have gone down, and Scions are pushing through the gap. This isn't a hugely tactical fight at this point. We've just got two lines running into each other. We don't have enough to do a flank. And here we go with our first check of the fight. And here, if you watch very carefully, there are a very small amount of people holding up an entire flank. There is, I'm using the space of the check to talk about this. There is an orc and two Kindernord holding up about 8 or so fighters. If that had gone through, that would have gone to our back lines and we'll be dead. Same thing here. We have one Kindernord and Lionel facing off against most of the Scions, doing some damage, not doing a lot. Tiebreaker's moving forward to cover the gap. Lionel runs around into a pack of spears. That's not where you want to be as a spear. Sorry, as a shield user. BRC on the far right is doing a bit of a push, and we've got a nice big clump here of Scions and Knights of Sin. Shields backed up by Mitch, and then backed up by archers. And by archers I mean people using magic damage. Speaking of magic damage, there's down one from Flynn. You can see we're being pushed back pretty clear. There's a lot of big gaps. We're curling on the left flank. And we have a lot of people going out to get heals. There goes out another check. Now, this is a good time to review the battle. Our front lines have been pushed back pretty far. They're being cleaned up pretty badly. The left flank is pretty heavy on numbers, but they don't seem to be doing a lot. It's a lot of our lighter people fighting the raiders and a few heavily armoured people. Over on the right, we have very few Kindnord and Malachite trying to hold out against a lot of people. Now, I'm not sure what this second check was for, possibly a headshot. They seem to be pretty common, unfortunately, in a lot of LARPs. As you can see, Beck and Craig and Trent standing and watching. Here is Hornet's Nest arriving and being yelled at because they're running in a check, which, to be fair, they probably didn't hear that clearly from across the other side of the field. It's a very long check, so I'm just going to chat to you. You can see there again, only a couple of Kindnord with their large shields, fighting against 3 or 4, I'd say, of Gallantry quests, possibly a Knight of Sin as well. Lines that's quite spread out. If somebody wanted to rush through, they probably could. They'd take some hits on the way, but they might be able to generate some value. Chalice gets us back on our feet. Lionel is switching over to the rifle now because he's on low hit points and he doesn't want a front line. Potioning up. We always had a lot of potions this game. And you can see, again, our lines are very, very, very thin on the right. A few gunshots going down. But we're just falling back, taking damage on the way. You can see there's a lot more of them right now than there are of us. A lot of people are backline getting healed or being healers. So, some nice gaps there, but too much pressure on the line to take any advantage of them. Again, a lot of us are backline in this fight, it seems like. Lionel's running forward to grab his equipment before it gets stood on. And it does get stood on, but he's fine with that. A lot of big batch of shields there. That would be Haunted Blade and Ascalon holding up the line there and doing some damage. A lot of healers here. We may have be too heavy on the heal. Raiders doing a heavy push on that line. They should have kept on going through, and they would have done even more damage. They're getting spread out though, and their numbers are getting less and less as they do. And there we have Anthony against 4 or 5 people, but he's still rolling us back. Raiders aren't a lot, but they can do a lot, if that makes sense. And here we go, the Hornet's Nest. Now we have a line, and the Raiders have pulled back into a group. Got a gun line and heal line here. We have a lot of gun line. As you can see, that's me there stepping forward, getting my gun ready. Now, some of the Raiders have fallen back to heal. but they've also run into some very large shields and very good people fighting them. Again, this one is pretty much a grindy line fight. Not a huge amount of flanking and pushing and rolling around. There's a warband leader Cookie going past. I'm loading up. Nice big gap in the middle there, and the gap in that shield as well. So that right flank's got a lot of gaps in it from our perspective, but there's also a lot of gaps in their front line. Looks like their main line has actually shifted either to the left or right, leaving their middle as sort of their light troopers. There we've got a lot of people trying to push through the raiders, and we might be rolling them up soon, but the raiders are very tough as heck. Well armoured and good for healers and good fighters as well. They're falling back into some Haunted Blade with some assistance, and now our light line's moving out of it. They also have the downside that a lot of their heavy pushers are pretty vulnerable to band guns. Either they have small shields, or because they're using armour. Lionel suffers the fate of all band gunners to be shot by band guns, and starts healing himself up. And with the Springvolt there, he can choose to reassess his weapon options and possibly put his hat back on. No, I don't think he does at this point. I'm just talking for the sake of it at this point, so you might find that annoying. This one I don't have a lot to say things about. Beck very helpfully moving the shield out of the way. Cherry being yelled at, not listening. Good siege! Drops Derapass through the lines. That's a heavy band gunner user there going down. Haunted Blade seem to be just standing off against us at this point. And there goes the push. As I say Haunted Blade is standing off, they knock us back. Lionel grabs the shield, starts getting his weapon out of the way. Haunted Blade have pushed through pretty hard. They've got a heavy line coming through the middle. And on the right flank, Raiders and a few others are running into me and our counter skirmishers. Making Lionel there checking the overextension on Hamish. Raiders again pushing that line very hard. A good amount of them have fallen back to recover, but they've four of them plus a Haunted Blade are pushing through our lightly armoured line defending there. Haunted Blade are packed up right in the middle. A couple of them are pushing. And you can see Mark with his giant feathers there moving in to support them. Springvolt unfortunately moves very moderately quickly back and forward, but you can't turn it very easily. Lionel taking damage there from Energy Ball like a pro. And this flank has pretty much collapsed. The Raiders there moving in to hit our line rather than come around. Although they are running into quite a few gunners. And more importantly, Sam and Nate are there as well. That'll check a lot of fighters. They're quite good offensive and defensive fighters. But they're still pushing forward because aggression wins LARP fights. There, Hamish and Phoebe making a very good call, seeing they were overextended. And pulling back to their line very quickly, but in good order, rather than turning and running. A lot of people have seen to come back and recovered and gone back into the fight, so our back line is looking a bit lighter. They've moved towards the front. Lionel's loading up the Springvolt again. And Greg's back in the fight. Somebody's restored him up. Hannah's right in the way. And down goes another big shield. It's Yusuf, that's right. So with that shield, that front line's probably not going to go much further. Their push on the left flank has run into our counter push on the left flank. A few people down, they're trying to get them out. And we have the town NPCs assisting with that fight. Again, raiders retreating in good order, as they usually do. Here, backline healers and gunners again. Lionel covers the GoPro, so we can't tell what's happening. Nice to his tunic, though. It's a nice tunic. I like it. I was mostly fighting on the right side on this flank. Moving back and forward, I did get dropped by Knights of Sin and Mitch in particular earlier on, but I did get recovered with some mild shenanigans, which I'll absolutely cop to, being probably a bad choice on my part. But now that we have everyone in line, we're slowly pulling them into a circle. Fighting back to back in a circle is not good for you. You'll lose that fight 9 times out of 10. Springboard has a very good line down there, but there's a lot of Malachite in front. If that had gone well, it would have tipped Greg again, and he'd be completely out of the fight. Lyle's running back, ensuring himself that he got something of that shot. I'm not entirely sure he did, though. But as you can see, their left flank has been mostly pushed back into the centre. They're starting to get pushed in a circle around themselves. Greg's out of this fight now, he's been down twice. And down goes Lionel. And seeing his value, he's immediately handed off to our warband leaders to get him back into the fight. And now we get a nice minute-long fish dance. This is your moment of peace and calm in a battle as the fish blesses us all. Praise the fish. Thank you, everyone. I can see runes on the cards and on the ground. There's a bloody battle. Lots of expenditure of everything, pretty much, including hit points. Fish again. Not a lot to commentate on when Lionel's being healed, but at this point, they went through for a pretty big push straight away, which they should have done. By they, of course, I mean protection and balance. We managed to hold with a good amount of losses. I think the springboard shot dropping Greg was a huge benefit to us at this point, because that held it up. We managed to stall long enough for everyone to get here, basically, and then just started whittling down their front lines and back, and letting them overextend and hit us. I don't see any real tactical mistakes that anyone's made in this battle. No one's massively overextended. The raiders do tend to do a lot of hard pushes, but they're also very good, as I've said a couple of times, at getting back on the line once they need to. So they weren't really punished too much for that. People have tried, but they're very, very good. Ultimately, at this point, we're just chipping down hit points. The fight's mostly won at this point. It's been decided. I think Scions are mostly out of the fight. Haunted Blade's still in it. No, there's most of the Scions there. They're a tough crew to fight, actually. We fought them a lot this game. But you can see a big ball of shields there, grouping up together. On the left flank, you have a big space there, with Raiders, again, doing a good push on their own, assisted by Varric and some of Ascalon. Possibly a run down that middle there, for somebody could have generated some value or pulled people off the front line, but I think everyone's just focused on the front line at this point. Big line of shields with shields in front of it. That's a lot of this fight. Some more dancing to restore. On the right flank, looks like it's been spaced out and mostly devolved into skirmishes. A couple of gallantry quests are fighting. We got Trent trying to get a raise off and being guarded by a hornet's nest. But yeah, we're crumpling them. The right flank is pretty much gone. It's just Mitch and one other person. He's doing well because it's Mitch, obviously. Yeah, this is just a ball. We're going to slowly chip them down. Well, moderately quickly chip them down just because we have more band guns than they do. And I think yeah, they Robert there I think tried for a push through the middle, but didn't really have anything to do, so he just ran into a lot more swords than he had. Heal has gotten opened up because people have dropped, so we can get Lionel can get an interrupt off there on Briar, aka Lauren. Yep, but again, we're pulling them into a circle. They're going to get slowly chipped to pieces. Raiders and Ascalon, Stilla, and well, actually, and some Knights of Sin. Stilla on this flank holding. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea for them to pull back to the main line, but they're also holding up a good amount of us to do so. So it's much of the same. There's two battles that's happening in relatively close sequence rather than one battle that's spread out. So you can see now we've gained pretty much all of the ground that there is to gain. We're almost back at their camp. Hamish there going out to do what you need to do, which is try and kill the band gunner. Raiders again, slowly backing up after a push. That's what they do. Push out and go back. Lana doing some battle command and getting people to do what he wants. I'm going out, probably to shoot Varric, because he's there. Again, this is probably a moderately good fight for me. I thought going in we would absolutely lose this, just because we didn't have the numbers and they had all these shields. But we managed to hold them. I'm not sure, again, not sure if there's any particular tactical failings I can point to. Possibly the big hard flank that I think the Raiders and a few other people went on that I had commented on right at the start of the video. That could have been done better. If they'd really pushed in, they might have cleaned up behind us. But that's also taking people off the front line. Lionel's just been down, so his recording of the fight's pretty much over. You can see a lot of corpses over there. Yeah. This one was a line fight. They ran into us. We managed to hold off until our reinforcements and backup got there, and then we had the numbers and beat them. No big pushes of weak flanks which told the tale, just people running into each other with swords. Alright, I've just talked a whole bunch. Hopefully that's interesting, maybe it's not. Shout out to Lionel for suggesting this video, and huge thanks to Matthew Owens, the sole inspiration for this video, and without whom I would have not recorded this. So, that's been me commenting on Shadow World LARP Game 9 Saturday Leyline. Hope some of it's been interesting to you. If not, well, I'll probably make another one anyway, which might be more interesting. I've been Tim. Hope you had fun.